Hello, my name is Shiny Schwinn, and I am a student here at Full Sail University in the Game Design program. This is March 7 for Sprint 1 out of 2. This is the first 2 weeks of work. So, as I said, March month 7. My instructor is Derek Mans for this month. I am an online remote student from Illinois, and I have a total of 50 hours and 23 minutes so far out of the 2 weeks for the sprint. I have 50 hours per the month for right now, and my expected hours is 100. My achievements, objectives, and issues. So, first off, my achievements, I was able to learn how to use Blender and make meshes from scratch using a tutorial video. Right now I'm making a pistol mesh. My objectives were to finish the mesh this sprint and be able to implement the mesh from the pistol and the outfit test mesh into Unreal Engine so I can do final textures and basically have something that could be used in the game. I haven't been able to finish the pistol, so that's an issue. The timing was really difficult because I ran into so many issues with crashing a billion times on Blender. I had to restart from scratch a few times, and a few things were not saved when I was in the middle of editing. So the crash is because of whatever is going wrong. I guess my PC isn't good enough to run that, but it can run Call of Duty. So I just have a lot of issues with crashing lately, so I'm just making a habit of saving a lot, but I guess I just wasn't quick enough for the last one that I did, which crashed and lost half of the work that I did, resizing and everything. So, as I mentioned, I kept having to resize things. The mesh wasn't fitting correctly with the reference photos, and I was working off of the reference photos, possibly at a slight angle, because whenever I took the screenshot of the reference photos, maybe it was tilted a little bit or something. I'm not sure exactly what was wrong with it, but the proportions are always off, and I keep trying to correct them, but the placement just hasn't been correct, so I've been having a lot of issues trying to actually get it to work. For week 1, I did a lot of research. I just looked up a bunch of videos on YouTube, did a whole bunch of Blender videos, tools and tips videos. There's a billion of them out there. So I'm learning a lot of tools and how to use them and shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts and all that. So that was what I was focusing on after I fixed the issue with Blender and the Adobe Substance Painter. So as you can see, I finally got arms on the character body instead of just having just the shirt, pants, and boots. I'm hoping that it will be able to pretty much export into or import into the Unreal Engine file and work on the character, because right now we have a broken mesh for the character outfit. So yeah, I have a test mesh. It says test on the pants, so I know it's a test mesh, and I'm going to try to have someone sit with me this next week to implement the pistol whenever I get that finished, because I have a few more videos on it. I didn't know how long this process was going to be, because I was learning Blender from scratch, and I was learning how to make a model, like a usable model. Yeah, so finally fix the issue with the exporting and the bones and all that from Blender into the Adobe Substance Painter. And then I got Unreal Engine to work. My Unreal Engine was not loading the program. The game, it wasn't working, so I had to sit with the team and figure out what was going on, why it wasn't opening and all that. And it finally opened. It finally worked. So I got the issues with that readily fixed, and then I didn't know I was missing some things that I needed for Git. So on top of getting the GitHub application, I got I think it was Git something, not Git Rush. I don't know. It's another part of Git that I didn't know existed until the team told me about it. So I had to I had to learn how to pull and push content as needed, and I also learned how to do the Unreal Engine work, like implementing files. The files finally opened, and you could see you know, all of the game files, and it actually runs. So that's a big plus on getting things to work. Then fixing the issue of the bones. And then for the rest of the work week, for the first week, I worked with the team troubleshooting issues with the Unreal Engine, and then researched issues that came up in Blender while I was doing the pistol mesh. So, because of all the random little things that I press a button on accident, or press two buttons and it changes the way I select things, and then I have to take 15 minutes out of my time to look around the internet and figure out how to change it back or something. So that's been happening a lot because I don't know everything about Blender, but I know a good bit now. And then researching tools and tips for how to use Blender for modeling, and how to be efficient in making models and having backup files in case there's something corrupt on them, etc. So that's what I did for that. Week 2, again, I took on the task to teach myself how to use Blender using a tutorial and making things from scratch in Blender. This is the pistol reference. This is what it's supposed to look like at the end, with all of the markings and the shapes and all of it. These are the references that I was using. As you can see, they're not super, like, exact references. I think that now that I'm looking at it, the gun's a little tilted at some point, up, down, sideways, and maybe that's why I'm having the issues with my my modeling. Basically, I'm going off of Text Circle. Sorry, back up. I'm going off of Text Circle on YouTube, and pretty much just trying to make this mesh, and as the project lead said, he could end up using it. So I'm just making that, killing two birds with one stone, learning how to make things from scratch, and learning how to go off of photos. Maybe later, if someone has concept art, or if I make concept art on something, I'll know how to bring it into a mesh form and have something to give into a project file for Unreal. So, continuing week 2, I learned how to import reference photos into Blender, as I didn't know how to do that. Most of the videos that I was watching wasn't using references. They were just using pictures, or not pictures, they were using items that they already knew how to make, like cones, squares, or cubes at this point, planes, cylinders, all the geometry kind of shapes. So I imported references of the pistol on the YouTube video to make this mesh. And then I started on adding planes and adding loop cuts, which I didn't know how to use loop cuts. That was something that I didn't learn. I only learned how to like mess with faces and everything, so I was learning loop cuts while I was doing this pistol mesh. Yeah, so I learned how to use the loop cut function, and then I started the base of the pistol stock. Sadly, oh no, sorry, we're not at that part yet. Almost. When I went into editing and finalizing the stock, I learned how to use the extrude vectors and editing loop cut functions. So as you can see, it's all round in that one picture, and then I was able to use loop cuts to flatten those out and get a flattened pistol stock. And then we came into remaking the pistol mesh because my Blender decided to crash right when I was done and about to save. So I think this is where the resizing started getting messed up. I think maybe trying to redo everything that I did for 5 hours in like 20 minutes was a little jumping to the point kind of deal, and when I did that I may have messed up something in there, but I'm so far ahead now that I can't really go back and fix it unless I really look deep into it, which I've been trying to do. But still, no matter how many times I resize it, it always seems very off, like something's wrong or something's missing or something's hidden on the inside. I did look inside the mesh to see if there was something weird. Found a few extra vectors, deleted those, tried to smooth everything out. I'm just trying my best since I'm learning everything from scratch. So basically I spent some more hours remaking the whole mesh, or more minutes anyway. Maybe it took a few hours because I had to look up what was going on or something. It's a big blur because of how many things that I've been doing this week, learning how to do Blender and everything. So I did a quick remake and tried my best to remember everything in the video because I didn't want to go back and watch the minutes of video and then have to take hours to redo what I did. So I did the best out of what I remembered. Then remaking pistol mesh continued. I created the top half of the pistol and did the same thing that I did with the stock and followed the instructions on the video to learn more tips and tricks along the way. This included things like editing the vectors and positioning shapes together and all that. Alright, and then we get into the barrel modeling and learning the mirror modifier. I did not learn a lot about the modifiers. I learned about what modifiers there are. I didn't learn how to use them, so it was easy to locate it, not easy to use because I was learning how to use it from the video that I was currently in the middle of using to build this mesh from the reference. And as you can see right here, looks pretty good, looks solid. Everything is all pretty much fitting together. It looks nice. And then I went to mesh modeling and resizing. I edited the mesh and sized the front of the gun to fit the top of the gun because it was a little off, and then the mesh kept becoming oddly shaped, so every time I tried to resize it and fit it to the reference, it always seemed to need something more, to be tweaked in some way. So it still really needs to be looked over and reassessed because I still am having issues with sizing. And then we have another incident where it decided to crash right when I was done resizing the barrel. So I continued with the tutorial video and resizing the barrel and starting the trigger. After I was done with the trigger, it crashed while I was resizing the barrel. So I didn't get to keep the trigger. I went back in, resized the barrel, and now this is where I'm at. I'm going to have to redo the trigger again because it crashed again. And then I'm going to have to resize the front more because, as you can see, it's still oddly shaped in the front. I'm not sure if I'm going to be using that plane that's in the front of the gun there. I'm going to look it up before I keep messing with it because I may not be even using the plane that's in front of the gun. If not, then I'm not going to worry about what the plane in the front of the gun is shaped like. I'm just going to leave it as is so I can keep going and keep things rolling. So that is it for this presentation. My info is here. I got my LinkedIn, my Mastery Journal portfolio, my personal portfolio, which has a bunch of art and photography on it, and I'm going to be putting some of this stuff on there as well. I only have month 2's work on my personal website, but you can find more information and more stuff on my Mastery Journal profile. And then you have my YouTube video, which has this video on the recommended playlist, my school videos and projects playlist. So this presentation video will be on there. If you're here just for the YouTube channel, thank you for watching, and if you want, boop the like, subscribe button. I don't know if I should be saying that in a presentation, but whatever. So there's all my links. Let me know if you have any questions, or if you have any of your own Blender issues, and if you're here for the presentation, thank you for your time, and thank you for taking a look at what I've been doing for the past few weeks. I look very much uh, I'm looking very much forward into the future where I will be able to do stuff like this as a full-time worker at some point, because I really enjoy using Blender despite all the crashes. But I heard also that there's another thing that people use a lot and you have to pay for it. It's Maya. Maya crashes too. So apparently it's just very hard to not have something that crashes. So hopefully it'll get better in the future. But that is it. Thank you for your time and have a really, really awesome day.